Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to No Buzzwords. Thanks for tuning in on all the different things. Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Follow, like, subscribe, share. We could use the free advertising. In the studio today, we have one Ben Thomas, one of our best friends, the best man at my wedding, and the manager at the cancer center here in Kitsap County. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming on the show. And also the bass player in the incredible band Selah Korah.
And also the former youth director intern, right? Or interim director of youth ministries?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
You were never in that position?
No, that was Michael. I was in that position.
Oh, that was me.
Didn't you help?
I mean, I helped Duncan.
All right.
Yeah, but
We've
No-
all had
no
a hand
official
in
title.
helping the youth of North Kitsap Baptist Church
Yeah. So
at some point.
Ben is a very near and dear friend. We've known Ben since we were kids. We all kind of grew up together. So that's why sometimes what we did, we don't know when, what we did ends and what he did begins, because
So we
we're
had
brothers.
Bryce on, Bryce Clark from the Coffee Oasis. You said you haven't seen that episode yet, but he was saying that you guys one summer had a back and forth to see who could get the most overtime at the pool on Bangor.
if he said it, it's probably true. I don't remember it, but it's possible.
That's what
Uh,
he remembered. Yeah,
yeah.
he said that you guys competed in getting as much overtime as you possibly could one summer.
I remember competing and fooling around on the pool deck, but I don't remember. I mean, it was hard to get overtime over there. So,
Oh,
but I remember fooling around and giving other people a hard time on the pool deck. But, yeah.
that's awesome. Well, you just wrapped up running the Kitsap Leadership, or is it Leadership Kitsap?
Leadership Kitsap.
Leadership Kitsap. You guys kind of did your year-long. Why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to try and describe it.
Yeah, so I wasn't running anything. I'm in a program, the Leadership Kitsap's signature program, which is basically like a year-long thing. People from all over Kitsap, different fields, come together, go through a leadership course, and then they split us into small groups. We do small community projects where we partner with organizations, and so 5 of us put on that event. I think that's what you're talking about, right? Yeah.
That's the event at Keyport.
Yeah.
How'd it go? What was
It went well. I thought it went well. I mean, there were, she sent us the numbers of how many, I think there were 300 kids that showed up. What we didn't do a great job of was advertising the fact that they could go into the auditorium and listen to music. So the crowd in there was rather sparse, listening to the bands, but there was an instrument petting zoo outside, which was like kind of the main event. And I think like 250 to 300 kids showed up and went through the booth, which was pretty cool.
What was the overall goal of like that event?
Just to get spark an interest in kids in music. So the West Sound Symphony in Bremerton, they brought a bunch of instruments that kids could get like hands-on with and try it out. And, the musicians of the symphony were there to help them figure out how to play it, or try and play it rather. So, yeah.
So what was your role? What was kind of like, because it was a group of 5?
Yeah, there were 5 of us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the job that I kind of acquired or ended up taking was collecting the bands for the most part, getting them, getting that piece set up. So, James helped a lot by
Shout out to James Newman.
letting us use his sound equipment, and he came and ran sound for most of the day. And
For those of you that don't know, we're using James's sound equipment right now.
yeah, and so and then coordinating the bands and getting that through.
Yeah. And now it's going to be an annual thing.
That's the goal. Yeah, we won't be a part of it. So part of those projects that Leadership Kitsap does, that's one of the goals, is that it's ongoing, and we're there to start it and get the ball rolling, but then that community partner should carry it forward and keep going. So it sounded like that was their intention.
Who's going to carry it forward then? Who's the
West Sound Symphony in partnership with Keyport Underwater Sea Museum.
Wow.
Would be the goal. But I know the symphony, they're going to try and do multiple of those events kind of throughout Kitsap.
Has the symphony played? Have they played like at the museum there before? I'm just wondering, like, what are the acoustics like in that place? Yeah, I know you guys played.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice. It was it was like a theater kind of setup. So yeah, I thought it was nice.
Yeah, I had a guy come up and say, "You guys sounded good."
Yeah, and I mean the other band sounded good. So yeah, it was pretty good for what it was. I mean, pretty old building, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of other projects does this Leadership Kitsap do?
They do anything. So it's whatever the groups want to do. Really, the requirements are you gotta partner with a community organization. But I mean, you can do whatever you want. So you get it approved through their board before you like move forward. But like some of the other groups in our cohort, one of them's helping reopen, oh gosh, what's it called? I think Wild at Heart. It's like a animal sanctuary in Kitsap. That like rehomes or gets animals, rehomes them, and then they have like mental health services as well. And I think it pairs up animals and people with mental health conditions, I think, is how that works. There's another one that's helping label trees at the Kitsap Forest Theater down in Bremerton.
The Mountaineers down there. I think it's the Mountaineers that own that.
Yeah, maybe. So they like partnered with them and like they helped, I think, label trees and like bushes and stuff along the trail to get there, so that as people are walking, and I think there's like QR codes and stuff, so you can learn about the trees. Somebody else, I know last year one of the groups like had to put up like Narcan boxes throughout Kitsap to be able to access those. One of our groups this year has a booth down in Viking Fest to do like basically be seen when you're cycling or on the road or whatever, reflectors and stuff, safety things.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did you get to be a part of it? What was the path?
People at the hospital do it. So the hospital helps sponsor one of it or sponsor it. And so they usually send one or two people a year. Oh. And so my boss brought it up and applied and got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems how that works. I've been introduced into leadership programs through bosses. You should do this. Okay.
Yeah, it's super cool. I mean, the thing that I like the most about it is really all the different people in there, and then like you cycle around to different parts of the county and learn about things that are going on, which it's like I'm in healthcare, so that's all I know really. But seeing, the law and justice side of things, education, arts, all that different stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I looked at it because you sent me a little video summarizing it the other day. Is that released? Is that some out for people to watch?
It will be eventually. So that's like our final project video. And then it'll get put on, I think it'll get put on Leadership Kitsap's site. And you can go on and watch the videos from like previous years. Those are up there. But that's not like our final draft. It'll get, I think, probably June, maybe. That'll get posted up there.
Yeah, but I had the roster of folks on there. And yeah, it was a pretty cool menagerie of professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. How long have you been in the manager position?
2019, right before COVID.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's why it feels like forever.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that time, like, I feel like it's stretched time. It's like it's not that long ago, but it feels like prior COVID. It seems like so long ago. So like, what was that transition like when you got into that position? Because you came from, was it Martha and Mary? Like you came from Martha and Mary to the cancer center.
Well, yeah, in a roundabout way, but yeah. So I was there and was in leadership there, and then kind of went back to the floor for a while at the cancer center, and then got the position in 2019. Yeah.
Do you think that people just know that you're the manager type, and so they just like grab you for it?
I don't know what the manager type.
I don't know
be.
what it is
yeah,
either.
I don't know. I don't know. People,
because it's
Yeah.
definitely not something that you're like. Did you like apply for it?
Yeah.
Oh, you
yeah.
did? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, you got to apply for
Yeah.
it. I mean, my boss had asked a number of us, like I wasn't the only one she asked to apply for it, but she had asked if I would be interested in applying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got in there right before COVID, and then COVID, like, do you remember like what that was like being in that position and having to manage not only the patients, right, but also all the staff as you guys were all of a sudden thrown into all of these psycho precautions that the hospital had to enact? What was that like?
I mean, so it was interesting in that, so Joey, my youngest, was born January of 2020. So I was on leave and came back. He was born at the end of January, and I think it took a month or 6 weeks, something like that, off. So I came back like the first week of March, and the very next week is when like all the
Lockdowns and stuff.
all the precautions started coming on board, and so it was. I mean, it really wasn't that bad. A lot of our patients wore masks anyways because they're all immunocompromised. So, there were some that didn't want to wear them, but I mean, it was what it was, and it was kind of everybody figuring it out. I mean, we were one of the first ones. We enacted a lot of stuff before it was like required, just because the patients we worked with.
Yeah. And that was in Bremerton at the time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What year did they actually transition over to Silverdale?
2020 and 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just drove past, all three of us have history in that Bremerton building. I just drove past it for the first time in a while yesterday. And dude, like
It's almost gone.
it is gone. Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. The amount of memories I have in certain areas of that place, and it's just not there anymore. Kind of weird.
So sad.
So sad. On to bigger and better things. So they're expanding. I see all the construction going on up at that hospital. Is that affecting you guys at all, or is that just more med-surg units?
Yeah, it doesn't really affect us that much, I don't think. Yeah.
Okay. It's just more beds is pretty much what they're
Yeah,
doing.
for the units. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not really like, I can't speak for the hospital in any way. So.
Yeah.
So, when did you discover that you wanted to be a nurse?
That's a deep question.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of a roundabout thing, but I mean, Andy, one of Michael and I's bandmates, his dad is a nurse. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, what seemed practical to do, Andy kind of got me on that, even though he discouraged me from doing it. It was.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So not like, I don't know, maybe that's the wrong word, but cautioned against becoming a nurse, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
So his example was what inspired you to become a nurse, despite him saying, "Don't
Yeah.
do this."
Yeah. So he had actually recommended becoming like a nurse anesthetist. So that was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then
What is that?
got into it, like an anesthesiologist, but nurse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So in the OR, you
They
get
do
paid,
pretty much the same thing, except they don't get paid as much.
yeah, you still get paid a lot though,
Yeah.
a lot. But yeah, I just wasn't interested. And I thought I wanted to do ICU or ER, and then got into it and was like, this isn't what I don't want to do. Or I didn't get into an ICU or ER, but got into nursing and realized ER or ICU isn't what I wanted to do.
Why that?
I started at a long-term care facility and just really liked building relationships with the patients over time, where ER is get them in, get them out. And ICU, a lot of your patients are, sedated or, so sick that they can't talk to you or build a relationship.
Or
And it's
belligerent.
yeah. So, I mean, it's the same thing. You're trying to like discharge them and hopefully not see them again.
Right.
Where long-term care, they're living there, you're seeing them every day, building a relationship with them. So that's what I really enjoyed about nursing. So stayed with that.
Most of those ER nurses end up going to PACU anyway.
Yeah.
End up, that's where Andy, is he still working right now?
I think so. Yeah.
Still doing PACU?
I think he's doing
Andy's
admissions.
At a desk job now. I think he's got a desk job.
That's
so
cool.
He's not working with patients.
Yeah. He does like I think it's called pre-admit. So I think he calls patients the day before their surgeries and goes over the like no food before or after midnight.
That phone call alone would be worth having surgery. Having that call from Andy. Hey man, so you're gonna be getting cut up tomorrow, huh? Here's some things you need to look out for.
Yeah. So
We should have Andy on as a guest before too long. That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I think that's what he does still.
Andy's a hippie,
Yeah.
a reformed hippie.
A reformed hippie.
So then, how much do you feel like you have a good mix of what you enjoy about what you enjoyed about long-term care in the position that you're in right now with the current patient population?
That's why I think I liked oncology and the idea of oncology. A lot of our patients at any oncology center, they're coming in pretty regularly for treatment, so you get to know them, build those relationships with them.
The cancer center, like what you guys, it's all outpatient, right? So
Yeah.
do you do any where it's like you have somebody come in, they go through you guys to go into inpatient, or?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. For various reasons. Yeah.
Okay. And like what kind of stuff, what does the outpatient center do? Do you guys do like full treatments for them, or you just like maintain their plan, or?
Yeah. A lot of, anywhere in the country, a lot of oncology treatments are done outpatient now. So patients come in, they get their treatment, and then they go home same day.
What are the most, what treatment options, like from when you first started versus now? I mean, even that little bit of time gap, is there a big difference in the types of treatments that you see most frequently?
Most frequently, I don't know. I mean, I don't treat patients. As a manager, I mostly work with staff now. But I mean, new things are coming out all the time. Like, I mean, there's new treatments that, we're starting to do, other people are starting to do. I mean, it's a constant revolving door with oncology.
He deals with a bunch of sleazy salesmen.
Oh, nice.
He's always sending them away though.
Really? Dude. Here's the deal,
would you
man.
do that?
They're just there to help. They're just there to help.
We just had on.
I mean, we don't make those decisions, so it's like they don't need to be there anyways.
Yeah. But they do the standard salesman stuff, right? They're showing up with donuts and coffee and yeah.
Yeah.
So we just had.
We don't accept any of it, but
yeah.
they show up with it.
Well, didn't you say that happened? Isn't there? Don't you have a good story? But like you just started out and you had to turn away a salesman or something like that. I remember you telling me something about like, yeah, they got used to getting a little used to this salesman spoiling everybody on a routine basis.
I don't know.
He was treating the nurses all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they're not supposed to be, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who are they supposed to go to? The physicians?
No, physicians don't. I mean, most companies, it's like we're not making we don't decide, who we're getting drugs from or anything. So that's, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's not us.
We had one of our previous guests, Jordan Workman, who's a fellow salesman of ours. Like our industries overlap, and we work with him. And he used to be in surgical equipment.
Oh,
so it was
I think you told me that. Yeah,
yeah. It was a very, very interesting conversation, hearing him talk about the process of sales to the medical world.
Yeah, because for him it was like, the doctor was the decision maker. Like, I'm sure the hospital had a part of it because they're probably paying for a lot of it, but the doctor was kind of the decision maker. So he's showing off these instruments to them.
Yeah.
But also he was like present for the surgeries.
Oh yeah, you were telling me that.
And like guiding them through the surgery and how to use the tool sometimes. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're also a musician.
Yeah.
A multi-instrumentalist.
Sure.
Guitar, piano,
Yeah.
bass. Do you play a little drums?
I mean, I can.
I'm
but
sure he can hold
yeah.
a beat.
Yeah. Not a drummer by any stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started playing music?
I mean, I remember taking piano lessons in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So 5, 6, something like that.
Yeah. And then you got into bass at church?
Well, no, I started, I played piano, and that was really the main instrument until like 5th or 6th grade, when the school, you could start playing other instruments, trumpet and things. I played trumpet. And then in 8th grade, my best friend and I started playing guitar. So my grandpa bought me a guitar for Christmas and started learning that. And then, of course, what do you do when you get a guitar with your best friend? You start a band.
Yes.
So we started a band and with other friends, and 3 of us played guitar. One of them played drums, and I was the worst guitarist of the 3. so I got put on a bass, and have stayed ever since.
Nice.
Yeah. And then played at youth group bass, and then played in different groups and with different people, and then Selah Korah was like the next band that I was in. And again, stayed on bass. Adam was in there playing keys, and then when Adam left, we had to figure out somebody to take over some of those parts that we couldn't get rid of. So,
I was never part of Selah Korah. I was
you were
part of
Battle
Church.
Yes, that's true.
Right. Before the name change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those listening, Ben and I are currently in a band together. We started the band like 13 years ago. Adam was in the band playing keys, and then he had a baby and left us.
Yep.
But
didn't leave my wife though. That's the important part.
Right.
Had a baby and stayed with the wife.
Yeah.
Left the band.
You were, and you're going to know this story, but it's a fun one. You're the reason I got into music at all.
Yeah.
You're the reason I got into music at all, because I remember in youth group, I just did not have a thing, to contribute. I was just like, I didn't have anything. I didn't do anything. I wasn't funny. I wasn't cool, and I had no cool skills.
I thought you were pretty funny and cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
But I remember you were graduating, and you were headed off to UW, and it was it must have been a Sunday or something like that. It was either before or after youth group, and you were walking out of the door for the last time, and somebody said as you were walking out of the door, "Ben, who's going to play bass in the youth group?" And I was sitting there just doing nothing, and you looked at me like, "Michael can play bass," and I had never touched a bass guitar in my entire life. I had never touched an instrument in my entire life, and like the room went silent, and everybody looked at me, and I said, "Yeah, I can play the bass." And then you left. You left, and Andy Rochon caught wind of it, and Annie Rochon, the one who recommended
Yeah.
nursing and also didn't recommend nursing, heard that you had said that to me and was like, oh, Michael wants to get into music. And so he made sure that I borrowed his bass and his amp. And then James Newman, the guy whose studio we're in, gave me a few lessons on guitar. And then you became the band leader at youth group right after that. So you became the band leader, and I got to play bass. And it was sort of a real. And then you came back eventually, and we played a bunch of. We had a bunch of fun in the youth group. First of all, that was a blast, playing music. And then when you came back, I got my first CNA job at Martha and Mary while you were working as a manager there. And I remember I was trying to start a band again. And I think you were already on board. I had Drew on board, and I needed a bass player. And you were married with a management job at a healthcare facility. And I was just like, I need a bassist. Ben plays the bass. There's no way he's going to have time for this or any interest. And I remember just that I was like, I'm trying to start a band. You want to play bass? And I think you just said yes on the spot. And I was like, holy cow. It's like I have a band all of a sudden. That was very sweet of you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so it was kind of a full circle thing. But yeah, I don't think I'd be into music. I don't. It's very likely that I would have had to find something else, if not for that moment.
Yeah.
When you said Michael can play bass, and you lied to the room.
I don't think it was Michael can play bass, as in he already knows how. I think it was a confident statement that Michael has the inner ability to play bass. It was a belief.
You saw that, huh?
I saw that.
Oh, Ben.
I don't remember that moment, so I can't verify it. But I'm sure that's what I was saying. Is like Michael could play bass.
Yeah.
Duncan comes up to you. You're a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because I remember my first interaction or pre-interaction with you, I guess, is the youth group at the time. A bunch of like my friends in the college age, because I was friends with a lot of older people like James.
Yeah.
And people that had kind of moved out of the youth group and on. So I didn't have a lot of like friends at the time. I had a lot of acquaintances, and like I knew everybody. Everybody knew me.
Right.
We had been in the same youth group for a while, but all the people I had hung out with had left. And then you and I think your sister at the time too was in youth group.
Still my sister.
Well, at the time, I think she was old enough to be in youth group. But yes, still your sister. But you came, and like at the time, whoever was running, I can't remember, it must have been Jonathan at the time was running youth group. There were like there was this board right by the door that had like newcomers, and it was like name and interest and things like that. And I remember just like standing there one day reading it, and like Michael Love, and I was like, who's Michael Love? Like I've never seen him before.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is. And then under interests, I think it just said the band Rush, and I was like, I have to meet this kid, because nobody else in the band and nobody else in youth group at the time listened
To Rush.
to any kind of classic rock or anything.
Right,
It was
yeah.
like, I feel like it was a lot of Weird Al is what.
Yeah. Weird Al was releasing his Star Wars song.
Yeah, and like parody songs, and which I was not into. So it was like, this kid likes Rush. So then I saw you, bandana and all,
my gosh.
and was like, oh, he seems cool. He likes Rush. He's got to be cool.
Yeah.
And then we went like that day or the week later or something, we went to the rally at
Youth
the
rally.
fairgrounds.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And we were, in the fairgrounds presence hall, all the inflatable toys and
I remember.
like bouncing houses and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was standing down at the bottom with Jonathan and looking up, and then you were standing up on the balcony, just looking down at these big inflatable bounce houses. And I think Aaron was maybe up there with you or
Yes,
something.
Aaron Mulis, yeah.
And we were watching it. And I remember Jonathan saying like, I hope he doesn't jump into that bounce house. And then we were watching, and sure enough, like quickly you just hop up on the railing and jump off from the like second story into the bounce house. And I was like, okay, we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember a slight adjustment to that story. I remember standing over it thinking, like, that was one of the times where I was like, man, I got to figure out how to make some friends and do something. You know, I got to have a thing. Maybe I can like
chance.
Maybe I can like climb things and jump off of them. Maybe that'll be my thing. And so,
you did it.
Yeah. But I remember you coming up behind me with Aaron, and the two of you kind of knew what I was thinking at the time. I was just like standing there considering my options. And I remember it was you and Aaron, and you kind of came up behind.
I don't think it was me.
I think it was. And I just remember he was like, Michael, are you thinking about
I don't
jumping
think it
off
was
this
me.
thing? And I was like, or no. You guys
was,
said like something like,
I don't think
what are
I
you
was
doing
up
up here,
there.
Michael? And I was like, I'm thinking about jumping into this bounce house.
Dude,
And then I think it was
Justin.
Yeah, I don't think
I watched
Maybe.
it. I think it was Justin.
because I like my whole memory of it is from the perspective of like standing next to Jonathan, who was the youth pastor at the time, and so in like his mind, he's like, "Oh, great, this new kid's gonna like break his ankle." You know, I'm sure is what was going through his mind, jumping off there, and I just in admiration and hoping that it happens. That you were gonna jump.
Please bring
Yeah,
it
so I wouldn't have had time to like go up there and then come back down.
Oh, okay.
But I
Okay.
definitely, my perspective was watching it happen.
So then it must have been Aaron who was behind me. And as soon as I said what I was considering, he was just like, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That got me over the edge.
Yep. Literally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got me over the edge.
Did you go to when Rick Burleson was still the youth pastor? Did you go on that TWISP trip?
Yeah, I went a couple
This would
times.
have been like 2000. I think I just went once.
Twisp is a place.
I remember you being there, so I would have gone the same. If you only went once, then I went.
I was in sixth grade, seventh grade. It was I was really young, but I remember a bunch of crazy stuff on that trip. But you were talking about starting music when you were young. I remember on that trip, Tyler Martin had just picked up guitar, and he had like 4 chords he knew, right? And so every night he'd just be sitting out playing those same 4 chords. And I remember all the chicas be around Tyler Martin listening to him play guitar, and I was like, I should probably learn an instrument. And that's all I had.
That's a good. I mean, that's the reason most dudes pick up music, right? Because chicks dig it.
Chicks
Maybe,
dig
I don't know.
music. Ben doesn't care.
Yeah, I just started playing because I liked it. My best friend was on, playing too. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do remember that trip. I mean, I went to TWISP 2 or 3 times.
That was the one, dude. That was, I don't know, man. Remember, it was like the seniority rule, and so I would always be the last one in the shower. Showers were cold.
Yep.
It was terrible for the 7th graders because if you're seniority, and Corey Ray was just like, I've got seniority over you for everything.
Rubbing
dude.
it, twisting the knife.
That was the trip. We had like a dough fight.
Yeah.
And it hardened in everybody's hair.
Yeah, it was
Ooh.
terrible. Yeah, Robert and I avoided all of that. Like we just stood off to the side and didn't engage because we didn't want to get messy. And then Rick, I think, rounded up everybody who did the same thing and put us in the middle. And then we got more messy because we just had to take it because he wanted everyone involved.
Dude, and it was like 100 degrees outside, and then all this dough just like turns into bread in your hair. And then trying to get that out of your hair in the shower was awful. Yeah. I know.
That's where it went.
That's it, dude.
Just took it off and it never came back.
That was the trip to, I was sitting next to James Siegenthaler on the way back, and in the back of the 15-passenger van, and he threw up in a bag next to me, and the
Nice.
bag had holes in it. Just covered.
Ugh.
Oh.
So many good things happen on youth group
Yeah.
trips. Yeah.
Formative
Yeah.
years.
Rick now goes to Christ the Rock with me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I see him
Oh,
on occasion. He's a second service guy. I'm a first service guy.
nice.
But
So Ben, also a husband and father of 4.
Yep.
With how old are all your kids now?
12, 10, 7, and 5.
Wow. And did you always know that you wanted to have a bunch of kids, or do you consider that a bunch of kids?
I mean, it certainly feels like a bunch of kids.
there can always be more.
Yeah, well, not for me. But yes. Yeah, Sarah and I, we had always, when we were dating, I grew up in a family of 3. So it was me and 2 sisters. Sarah has a brother. And so I always wanted 3 or 4 I always wanted 4 or 5 kids. She wanted 3 or 4. So we had kind of settled on 4.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, after the 4th, I think she was like, we could do another one. And I was like, I think 4's good.
So you guys flip-flopped.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
She likes babies. So, I mean, she could hold a baby and play with a baby anytime, all the time, if she could. So, so now, once the babies stopped coming, we just started collecting baby animals. So now we have 2 dogs and 2 cats
Holding her over.
at the house as well. And then
You don't want any goats, do you?
we have 3 goats.
I have 14. Do you?
Yeah, that's a
want
lot of
more?
goats. Not currently, no.
They call them kids.
Yeah, they do call them kids. Yeah. No, we're good with what we got. Yeah, and luckily some of our friends have started having babies, you included, so she can get her baby fix
With
by
Isaac.
hanging out with Mary and Isaac.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it feels like a lot of kids. I mean, it's a lot of chaos. Our house is pretty small, so
Yeah.
but it's fun.
Yeah. So, and then we're also your oldest, Jonathan, 12 going on 13.
Yeah.
And we've initiated this cool semi-weekly, monthly get-together
Yeah.
to talk about.
He wants it to be weekly or every other week. He asks all the time, are we doing man training?
Man training.
Man training, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not what we originally called it, but then his sister was kind of making fun of him and called it man training. So then it kind of stuck, and he wasn't happy with the term, but now he loves it, and he's and he kind of treats it like this secret
Society.
yeah, like a secret fraternal society. You know, like he'll come home and his brothers will ask him, and Savannah will ask him, like, what did you do at man training? He's like, I can't tell you. I can't tell you what's happening at man training.
It's for the men.
Yeah, it's for the men. You'll get there one day.
Weekends for the boys.
Yeah. Yes, started man training with Jonathan.
Yeah. So describe it's sort of your brainchild, and just describe like how it came to you and sort of what your hope is.
Yeah.
Jonathan Jonathan is your oldest.
Jonathan is my oldest. Yeah. So I can't take credit as it being my brainchild. So the thought originally came, you guys mentioned we helped out in youth group leading, and when Duncan was the youth pastor and we were all leaders, he did this kind of like, not initiation may not be the right word, but kind of a series where getting people, men or boys to become men, girls to become women in Christ, and learning what that means, and the differences between, what the world defines as a man or a woman and what Christ defines as a man or a woman. And as we were working with him, he he probably read the book, but he farmed or delegated the planning of like this event, this ceremony, this series off to me, and was kind of like, hey, read this book, see what it says, help me plan out this series. And so the book is Raising a Modern Day Knight. And so I read it at the time. Jonathan was like year, 6 months,
Wow.
something like that. Like he was young,
Yeah.
if even born at the time. But we certainly knew he was on his way, because I remember thinking, oh man, when I reach this point 100 years from now, I really want to do this with my son. And then before I knew it, it was here.
Wow.
And so, like a year ago, I forgot what the book was, but I remember reading it and thinking it was cool. The whole premise is kind of the same idea. Like, what does the Bible define as manhood? And then, they're big on, or like the book's idea is kind of, paralleling it or comparing it to knighthood in medieval times, in that process of mentoring and growing boys into men or knights, and then having this ceremony at the end. So I thought, like, okay, when Jonathan's like 12, we'll start this process and kind of just formally teach him. It's like, hopefully I'm teaching him in my words and actions every day, but some kind of just like formal, this is important. And so I reread the book, kind of came up with this idea of also involving you, or other dudes to speak into his life, just so it's not dad saying things.
A little backup.
Yeah, and we already semi-regularly now meet for pancakes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, Jonathan would like that. Just the idea of like, I get to go hang out with dad and his friend for breakfast.
Yeah.
So then kind of looked through and thought like, okay, what is like the year going to look like to prep him for turning 13 and kind of knowing. So I went through and just did some research and found 12, what do you call them? Not features. Aspects or like characteristics that a man of Christ should emulate, or
embody.
Yeah, embody. That's a good word. And so then we're just kind of tackling one at a time. And my plan was like once a month, because I was thinking he probably is not going to want to wake up at 5 a.m. very often to come have breakfast with us.
But he does.
Yeah, now he does. Because we got a late start to it, and so we had to double up and do like 2 weeks in a row.
Right. Yeah.
So now that's the expectation in his mind, is like, let's do this every other week. He was like, can we do it every week? And I was like, I don't know that I'm doing it every week, And I was like, I will run out of attributes thing, So I was like, well, let's do it. And he was like, every other week. And I was like, maybe we'll see what we get. But yeah, if he could, he would do it.
We should officially christen it Man Cakes.
Man Cakes.
That's the program.
That's the program.
The title.
Man Cakes. Nice. Yeah.
Layers of manhood.
Make sure I don't know, dude.
And each session you get a cake added to your stack.
Yes.
So by the end you have a stack of 12
man cakes.
12 man cakes. And if you don't eat them all, you don't graduate.
You don't get to be a man.
Yeah, you have to hork down 12 pancakes.
I can't, dude.
How old is Henry?
Henry is 9.
9. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So he's, as always with the oldest, it's like he's the guinea pig. Yeah. So then it's like, hopefully we'll refine it, and then Josh will go through, Joey, Isaac,
Yes.
collect.
Daddy, when do I get to go to Man Cakes?
Yeah, Man Cakes. Yeah, Savannah's already asking like. Savannah's already asking.
You gotta
like,
rename it right now, dude. You can't keep that.
Savannah's already asking when she gets to do woman training, and she's assuming it will be with Mary.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Because
Mary will do that.
Yeah, I think Sarah and Mary have talked about it. I don't know, maybe not, but I feel like they mentioned that they've discussed woman training.
How old is Sarah?
Exact same age as Jonathan.
Hey.
I think. When's Jonathan's birthday?
He's March. Isn't Sarah December?
Sarah will be 13 in December.
Yeah. So Jonathan's like 3 months behind.
Yeah, I haven't seen Jonathan in a while. Is he sprouting up? Is he getting tall?
Yeah, he's pretty tall. I mean, well, I don't know.
Sarah
It's hard to.
She is about a centimeter shy of Jessica at this point. She's
Okay.
almost 5'5". So
She-
I'll walk in the house at night and be like, I think it's my wife. It's not my wife. It's
Yeah.
Sarah.
She's probably taller than him now. Then would be my guess. He's getting like. I mean, he's always been thick.
Yeah.
Not like. I mean, he's lean. He's super lean with all the soccer, but he's just like.
Dense.
Man cake.
Yeah. It's all the man cakes.
He's a man cake.
Yeah. It's all the man cakes.
He's getting layered.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's not super tall, I don't think. I think Savannah runs taller than he does, like age for age, which kind of grinds his gears a little bit, which is funny.
He'll get up there.
Yeah.
So I remember the event that you were talking about, the Leaving Neverland. is
Leaving
what Duncan
Neverland,
called
yeah.
it. I remember he did that in response because there really is no. What my mind goes to is like. I know in Mexican culture it's a quinceañera.
Yeah.
Quinceañera. It's
Yeah.
that's for both the males and the females,
Mm-hmm.
Isn't bar mitzvah?
and a bar
Yeah.
mitzvah for the Jewish culture.
A lot of cultures
A lot
do
of cultures have a significant
ceremony.
right?
Yeah.
A celebration of
Yeah.
adulthood.
And like a
manhood,
marking
womanhood.
of, okay, now you're an adult. Now you're a man.
Right.
Yeah.
I think our closest comparison is Sweet 16, the birthday, probably. I don't know.
Yeah. But it kind of it's our closest comparison, but it's sort of a poor.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
A poor
But I think that's our
substitute.
closest cultural comparison.
Yeah, and so that's what you're trying to.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise society defines when you become a man, and I mean, it's like you can think of all the things that society tells you, like, okay, you have to like do this or this, and then you're a man.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and a lot of
a moving target.
Yeah, the total moving target, and a lot of times there just is no, and that it never comes,
yeah,
and that's why the 30-year-old in the mother's basement is very common.
yeah,
Yeah, adolescence.
and
is
we don't
being
have a
stretched
basement,
out.
so he's got to.
You don't have a basement.
He's got to eat his man cakes, so he gets out. We have no basement for him.
You're 36, 37?
36, yeah.
So, like, I'm in the same boat as you with my 4 kids, right? And it's like you're looking ahead now. You're gonna be probably not even. How old will you be when your last one leaves the nest? 48, 49?
Yeah, right around there. I think or right after, because 20.
It's such a sweet thought, isn't
I
it?
think I'll
So,
be right around 50. Yeah,
Yeah.
when Joey is 18.
that's
I'm
crazy.
doing my math right.
That I blessings, Michael, that you had your first kid in your mid 30s.
Oh my goodness.
But I could never do it.
Yeah, there's definitely a benefit. I mean, it's like there's good. I mean, pluses and minuses both ways, but I like the way that we did it. I don't think I'd have the energy
Yeah.
to have kids
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
this old,
Yeah.
even though I'm only 36.
You
which
said
isn't
your
that
wife
old, but-
likes. You said your wife likes babies. I think I've gotten to the point, and I think I can probably say this for my wife. It's like I don't like babies. Like
Oh my goodness.
I like. I like they get older. They're more fun when they're older. At least when they're a
Oh,
baby,
yeah.
it's just like, like it's the lack of sleep. It's the they need me for everything. They need us for everything.
I talked to 2 fathers who are just a few years ahead of me as far as like how old their kids are. And they both said the same thing. They're like, yeah, that first year and a half, they were kind of just a potato, but now they're getting really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I love, because Isaac is just walking now and just
Yeah.
babbling a lot and running around. I've loved every stage. The baby stage was a blast.
Yeah, I liked
babies.
infants.
I like babies.
Because then you could fall asleep, on your chest
Yeah.
while you're sleeping in a chair, and then
Yeah.
it's like sweet.
Yeah.
Take a free nap. Nobody's gonna bother me when the baby's sleeping.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely, and it's like I found that I don't really like holding other people's babies.
Yeah.
Like I loved my kids and holding them. And I remember a lot of people being like, I'm good. Like I don't need to hold your kid.
being
Like
very
I like my
surprised.
kids, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
like, I don't need to hold your kid, and I'm like, that's weird. But now I'm in that spot where I'm like,
One
fine.
of my in-laws is going to have a kid probably this weekend, and I'm leaving for Utah for a business trip. And Sarah, my oldest, she's like, you're going to miss seeing the baby. I'm like, you've seen one baby, you've seen them all. I'll see the baby when I get back.
I mean, they're cool. I think part of it is honestly like I'm afraid like I'm gonna drop it or something. Like it's like if I'm holding my own kid and I drop it, like that's on me. But it's like if I'm holding Isaac and drop him, then it's like, will Michael ever even talk to me again?
Right,
It's like then I'm ruining somebody else's kid. So like I don't want the responsibility, the weight of like I have a life in my arms that
A helpless
You
life.
drop
Yeah.
Isaac, like Michael's like, dang, he's gonna be a bass player now. Shoot.
Yeah, I think that's more it is. It's like I feel like I've forgotten how to hold a baby, even though it's like you don't really forget how to hold a baby. But I will say though, I think parents with infants have the strongest arms. Holding a baby,
Dude, Mary's
it's like,
arms are shredded.
yeah,
She's got.
and it's like you don't realize because
bulk.
I'm sure like I couldn't hold an infant for more than like half an hour anymore without my arms giving out.
Yeah.
Where it's like when you have an infant, it's like you can go hours
Yeah.
holding them.
Yeah.
And you
'cause
just
have
don't
to.
and you just don't realize how strong you've become.
Yeah, it's amazing how you rise to an occasion that feels like you can't. Like 3 days of labor
Yeah.
for Isaac's birth was kind of like, and like the amount of sleep that you miss out on during all of that. And I remember when he was out, we had him, and Mary's banged up from that labor, so she's just like limping around and everything. So I'm like making sure she's alive and he's alive, and just like I remember when they put us in our room and the nurse said their final goodbye. I know that like they're there, but she was also like, okay, you guys good? I'm stepping out. And I remember she stepped out, and it dawned on me how tired I was, and I was standing, and Mary was dead, and the baby was like breathing, but breathing weird, because it's a baby. And I was just like terrified. I was like, he could die tonight. It's like if I fall asleep, he could die while I'm not looking.
Yeah.
Like, and it just like how tired I was.
Yeah.
I was so tired that I was like, if I sit down, I'll fall asleep and he'll die. And I was like, I have to stay awake. And it was like 4 a.m. already. Oh, it was so wild. And then as luckily, you're holding them all the time and they're getting bigger over time. So you're like when they're 9 pounds, you can hold 9 pounds for a while.
Yeah.
And then he's 10 pounds, and then you kind of like it scales.
Yeah.
It scales, and so it's not like that difficult. But I can see once they're on their feet. Now that he's on his feet, I pick him up every now and then.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
it is a little bit of a heartbreak. Yeah. We're ready for number 2, I think.
Yeah.
You heard it all. He's ready.
He's ready.
So you guys, the house you guys are in right now, how long have you owned the house, or when did you buy it?
We bought it in 2017. So like
That low interest rate.
we bought it right when right after Josh was born.
Cool.
Number 3.
Number 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that house? You said it's getting small, and I'm only asking this question because I'm debating the size of my house and my growing 4 kids. We actually moved all. We got a large shed, and I built it out to a bunkhouse, and so now all the kids are in the shed.
Oh wow.
It's awesome. And like we're looking at our housing situation. Like how are you guys dealing with the small house and growing? All your kids are going to be massive pretty soon.
I mean,
What are you gonna do, Ben?
Yeah.
stay in the house. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, we kind of have intentionally got houses like that where it's like we have our rooms, but then like the main square footage is in living room area. 'Cause it's like, I feel like so many families in society, it's like everybody goes to their room. That's where they live and don't interact as a
Separate.
family. Yeah. So we kind of like the small house 'cause it forces everybody into the same space. So it's like we have to be with each other pretty regularly. And then, I mean, Savannah is the only one in the house who doesn't share her room with anyone. Being the only girl, she has her room. And then the 3 boys are in one room.
triple bunk, right?
Yeah, and then
So cool.
triple bunk.
We got one of those.
And
Those
then
are so cool, dude.
yeah, and
Man.
then Sarah and I are obviously sharing a room together. So
Good to hear.
yes,
Glad that's working out.
Yep. So Savannah's the only one that doesn't share a room, but I mean our rooms are small, so it's like you can't do too much in there. So once you put a bed and a dresser and stuff, so forces us out. And we live on an acre, so in the summer it's nice because they can all get outside and run around. But it definitely come like February, March, the house feels smaller because nobody's been able to get outside.
Yeah.
And so it's like kids are climbing walls and bouncing off the ceiling and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're definitely with our house. I have so many things we could do to upgrade it, but we've just decided, I think the kids are just going to destroy it by the time we're done. And once that last one's hitting up in those teenage years, then we might consider figuring out something, but it's just not worth it at this point.
Yeah. We did take down a wall in like our main living space to open up, like, so now it's like kitchen, dining room, living room is all one giant room because it was getting a little cramped, I think, the way it was divided up, but it's more doable now.
Yeah. What's your wife? Is she just stay-at-home mom right now? Does she do any like she help out at church a lot? Does she have anything else like she does besides just watch the kids right now?
I mean she does a ton. So she we do small group. We run a small group together. And then I mean most of her day is carting kids to and from school, to and from preschool, to and from activities. And then it's probably hardest right now because it's like she'll drop kids off in the morning and then she has a few hours before she's got to drop Joey off for preschool midday, and then it's like you get a couple more hours before you got to pick them all up again. So it's like kind of that weird space where there's enough time to do things but not enough time to do a lot of things that you need to do. So she'll like fit the grocery shopping in and that sort of stuff in those times. Try and get dinner in a crock pot or something. Because once we get home, then it's like, okay, they have their activities or whatever, and getting them where they need to go.
Yeah. Do you guys have an Instapot?
We do. We don't use it though.
Oh, dude, I love my Instapot.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
We don't use it very often.
We go in waves. Mary will sometimes use the Instapot weekly, but I don't think we've used it for months right now.
I actually
Should've
don't
back
know that
into
we've ever used it. Like, cause it was like a dual air fryer Instapot. So we use the air fryer a lot, but I don't think we've used the Instapot.
I like it. I like it for like, if you do something with meat in it, that meat will be so tender by the time you're done. That pressure. It's nice.
Under pressure.
Well, coming up on the hour.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks everybody for listening in.
Yeah, check us out. Again, please like and share. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Ben.
Yep.